Quazi here. Have you ever woken up in a dream and realized that you could control it? If you were ever falling asleep and right at the juncture of sleep and wakefulness, you're able to maintain your state of consciousness and remain aware, you enter a dream state in the wakeful mode. And that is what is known as lucid dreaming. Now, what if the reason your life isn't going the way that you want it? Because you actually haven't learned how to do that in reality. You haven't learned how to wake up in reality yet. To understand this, we have to visit ancient yogic knowledge. 2,500 years ago, a mysterious yogic text emerged. Nobody knew who wrote it, nobody knew how it came to be, but it said that a group of powerful sages known as rishis, who had mysterious capabilities, were the actual ones who wrote it. This text was very, very short, but it actually contains the secrets to all of reality. It's called the Mandukya Upanishad, just 12 verses long. Within those verses lies the map to waking up from the dream of life itself. The sages who wrote it said that there are 4 main states of consciousness. The first is Jagrat, the waking state. This is where most people live, eyes open, talking, working, but still running on autopilot. Life feels real, but you're trapped inside of your senses, reacting to whatever comes. The second is the dream state, where your body sleeps and your mind creates its own world. In dreams, you can fly, shift forms, bend reality, but you think it's real until you wake up. The third is deep, dreamless sleep, pure stillness. No images, no story, just blankness. The silent reset that your mind actually craves, yet you're not aware of it happening. And when you're in that state, time just doesn't exist. You don't remember sleeping for hours and hours. You simply go to bed, you go to deep sleep, and then you wake up. That's it. And then there's the fourth, Turiya. The yogis describe Turiya as being awake in the waking state, aware in the dream state, and conscious even in deep sleep. It's the vantage point beyond all 3, a constant state of lucid awareness. In Turiya, you see that waking life is just as malleable as a dream. Every thought is a brush stroke. Every intention bends the scene around you. You stop being the character and you actually step into becoming the director. Most will never touch this state, but those who do learn how to shape reality itself. So guys, in today's video, I'm going to share with you how to take a step back and enter this state of pure awareness and learn how to direct your intention to create the reality that you want. So with that, let's get started. So the very first thing we need to understand is how the quality of awareness actually came to be and why it's so important for you to tap into this state in the waking form so that you can wake up into the state of Turiya. So if you look at yogic knowledge, their fundamental understanding of how our world came to be is as follows. They believe that everything came from no thing, which is what you call nothing, right? And then God said, let there be light. There was nothing, and then God said, let there be light. There was nothing, and then the Big Bang happened. Everything came from no thing, no form, formless, okay? When formless started, there started to be disturbance, spontaneously. A Big Bang, the light. That is the light of awareness. Nothingness became awareness. When there was further movement within awareness, awareness started to have little blips, waves in it. It started to form consciousness. With further movement within consciousness, consciousness becoming localized, okay, to a particular form, becoming grosser and grosser, it creates mind. Movement within the mind manifests the body. Therefore, what you visualize, you can create in reality. Movement within mind creates body. How do we know this is true? Well, if you look at the placebo effect, you'll notice that a lot of bodily ailments can be cured just by focusing the mind in the right direction. People have spontaneously healed themselves because they've believed that they took a pill that would heal them, when in reality that was just a sugar pill, right? Not saying all illnesses are like that, but a majority of illnesses can indeed be cured with the power of the mind. Doctors won't even perform surgery on patients if they don't believe there's a possibility for them to get cured. Because without the right attitude, it doesn't matter. Okay? If you don't believe there is a cure, if you don't believe that you're going to achieve what you want, it doesn't matter. If you go into an endeavor believing that you won't be able to achieve it, you won't be doing what's necessary with the conviction that's necessary to achieve it. I hate to use this story again and again. A lot of my regular viewers say like they're sick and tired of listening to this story, but I was in a building, in an apartment building. For those of you who are new, I'm sure you can appreciate it. I was in an apartment building where all of the mailboxes got delivered to one room. And it was incredibly difficult to find your packages. I was anticipating one package and it had been late by 3 weeks, right? So I kept going into the room, nothing there. One day I went into the room, searched, 3 weeks, nothing. I step out of the room, I check my phone, I get a notification. The package had definitely been delivered. I go back into the room and now my search takes a different level of conviction. I rummage through all of the packages and I find the package that I was looking for. Why did that happen this time? Because the package had been there for the whole 3 weeks. I just got a delayed notification of its delivery. It had been there the whole 3 weeks. But I finally found it because my search had the conviction, right? I believed and I knew for a fact that it was there, I just had to find it. What if you could believe this to be true about the goals that you want to achieve? That, hey, I'm going to achieve it. It is going to happen. If you begin with that level of conviction that it is going to happen, it's just a matter of when and not if. It's not conditional. It's just a time thing. That's how the mind creates the body, or the mind creates matter, material form. Taking a step beyond the mind, you see that there is a consciousness that is conscious of there being existence. When you start becoming conscious of consciousness itself, you step into awareness, right? And this awareness is the thing that doesn't have form, that is, was, and always will be. If you look back at yourself when you were a child, that state of being, that pure awareness, is the same awareness that was, the same awareness that is, and it's the same awareness that will be. You see the body changing, you see the content of your thoughts changing, but this pure quality of observing, of witnessing, the jhani, that doesn't change. That always stays the same. And there's a high likelihood that that quality within me that watches is the same quality that is within you. It is collective. It is not localized. Consciousness is localized. There's waking and sleeping in consciousness. With pure awareness, there is no waking and sleeping. There is no thing to be conscious of. There simply is. So right now, if you just simply watch and observe your thoughts, you observe a thought coming up, and then you observe your body. There's a watching happening, right? Something watches it. There is a subject and an object. Now, if I take a step back from this subject-object relationship and I go to subject-subject relationship, who is it that's watching? What I've gone and done is I've turned awareness in on itself. To get to this state of no thingness, we have to continually turn awareness in on itself. What does that mean? Observing the observation itself. The act of watching the watching itself, becoming aware of the awareness itself. When we do this, this is when we start waking up in reality. As you keep practicing this, you're going to begin noticing that staying in this state becomes a lot easier. All of the ups and downs of the mind, all of the ups and downs of the body, they don't affect you any longer. You're no longer a slave to them. When you're no longer a slave to effects, you start to be at the cause. This is ancient Hermetic knowledge. The law of cause and effect. We want to be at the cause and not the effect. Otherwise, we're just at the mercy of the weather, what someone said to us, something that's happened in the past, an outcome that we're trying to achieve that we're not getting. We're immersed in this play of life and we're identified with the character. Imagine you're watching a movie. In that movie, imagine you are the character, right? When you are that character, the ups and downs of the character affects you deeply. It moves you deeply. Now when you take a step back and you become the watcher of the movie, the person that's actually watching the movie, just imagine that God is watching you, or the universe, whatever higher power you believe in, is watching you. Imagine stepping into that vantage point, kind of like looking at yourself in the third person. When you do this, you're immediately disidentified from what happens to the character. You simply watch it as an amusing play that happens, the play of life, the adventures of life, the adventures of Huckleberry Finn, right? So you are the observer. You are the watcher. The ups and downs of life no longer affect you as deeply. This is the state of pure freedom. Ironically, this is the state from which you can create something that you want to experience. If you've been experiencing one particular situation in your life for a decade, right? You've been stuck with a particular maybe revenue level in your business. Maybe you experienced success in the past. I was speaking to someone yesterday, he is in the mortgage business. He achieved massive success doing 100K a month in the past, but then he lost that confidence. Something happened, business stopped doing well, and he tried his best for a decade or so to get back up to that level. But he'd been stuck. He'd been stuck for a decade. But now he realized why he was stuck, because his energy state was stuck to that old state of trying, of struggling, of trying to make it. He was holding on to something. He was trying to hold on to life when life is ever changing. And so he lost his confidence. As a result of that, it wore him down, and he couldn't shift himself out of that. The way you shift yourself out of something like that, a rut that you've been experiencing, is by entering this state. Taking a step back from your current self. What most people do is they try to change their current self. They think they're damaged somehow, something is wrong with them, so they try to change their current selves. When the real goal is to choose who you want to become instead in the next moment. Choose what you want to experience next in the next moment, okay? So when you unattach, you enter the witness mode. This is the witness mode that we want to enter if we want to create anything worthwhile in our reality. However, you can also choose to not create from this place. If you're completely content being joyous, at ease, and peaceful in this state, which is what you're going to experience, where nothing will bother you. And I'm going to show you an exercise on how to do this. If you want to stay in this state of peace, love, and joy, and you don't want to create reality, you're free to do just that. But what will happen is you will keep experiencing what you've been experiencing. It just won't affect you as much, which personally for me, it sounds like true freedom when you're not affected by what's happening. However, from this state, you have the choice to create what you actually want to create. That is a possibility as well. Okay? So, in order to understand how to create from this state, we have to understand scripts. There's a predetermined versus a chosen script of reality. The predetermined script was that script my client was going through, the past 10 years being stuck in a similar situation, just being stuck in a rut, lack of confidence, etc. That's the predetermined script, the script that's been running. He was unable to choose a new script. Why? He was unable to choose a new script because his attention, his awareness was glued to that character, the struggles of that character. Money has always been a struggle since then. Oh, how the old times were great. He wasn't able to move forward and look ahead because all of his energy, right? The energy that stores itself in your body. Because intellectually, you know what you want to achieve. In your mind, you can see like, okay, just get back up to that level you're getting to. But that's the conscious mind. The unconscious mind is 97%. And the unconscious mind stores itself in your body. The conscious mind can only hold 7 bits of information. It can process 7 bits of information, right? It can see while feeling and smell while touching, right? It's a slave to the senses. The unconscious mind is responsible for your heart beating, your blood flowing, your organs working, perceiving things from your environment, intuition. Most people never are able to direct the unconscious mind because the conscious mind always gets in the way, okay? So, because of that, that energy stores itself in your body, in your unconscious. How do you shift that? When you take a step back, you unattach from this predetermined script. When my client will begin to do this, he will unattach from this predetermined script, okay? And then he will be able to choose what he wants in the next moment, which is stepping into his power, becoming this new version of himself. In order to become a new version of yourself, you need to take a step back from your current self and enter this place of equanimity, kind of like emptying a cup so that you can fill it up with what you actually want, okay? So, in order to put forth a chosen script, stop trying to change your current script. Ditch it or integrate it. and choose what is wanted instead. Integrating it, in my opinion, is a lot better, but you can also ditch it. You choose what you want in the next moment. And in order to do that, I'm going to show you how to do that with intention. Okay? But to use intention to its fullest capability, you need to center your attention, right? Attention. When you center your attention, what happens? You're no longer tied and identified to this current script. Okay? So, what's the key to properly centering your attention? This is a process known as self-inquiry. There's a great book on this. It's called Who Am I by Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. Maybe 30 to 50 pages long. Not that long. In it, he prescribes an exercise. The first question to ask is, to whom does this thought occur? Whenever a thought is arising, to whom does this thought occur? You have the mind, and you have a lot of thoughts happening in the mind. There's thought 1, thought 2, thought 3, thought 4, whatever, right? You have all of these thoughts that are occurring in mind. To whom does this thought occur? If you notice, the quality of awareness is like the sky, but within the sky there are clouds. In our periphery, because we've been so distracted, we haven't trained our attention. We get focused on one cloud. Why did this thought come up? Where did this come from? What if this bad thing actually happens? I'm terrified. We're continually thinking about the past and the future. We're not in the present. When we no longer have the clouds at the periphery, we have the clouds at the background and have the sky, the clear sky at the periphery. Everything else becomes blurry. The thoughts don't take as much of a hold on you anymore. It becomes blurry. Right now, for most people, the sky is blurry, which is not what we want. We want the thoughts to be blurry. Only then they won't move you as much. They won't affect you as much. So, you have all of these thoughts. You ask, to whom does this thought occur? You go away from the thoughts to the center, and you transcend all of this, even mind, when you ask the next question. Who am I? What is the answer to that question? There is an intellectual answer to that question, which is, oh, I'm this Quazi character who's in these clothes, who is this tall, of this ethnicity, blah, blah, blah. No. Who am I? There is no answer to this question because it is an experiential question. You feel it. And so when you ask this question, there are two main realizations you're going to have. You're going to be able to see the character, and you're going to be able to see reality. Your internal world won't affect you as much, and your external world won't affect you as much, because you're going to see the movie play out. Instead of being so attached to the ups and downs of the movie, you become a watcher, observer, and a viewer of the movie. Okay? Another way you can attain this state is by asking 3 questions. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Just become aware of that. Become aware to the point where you can mentally exclaim to yourself, I see myself and I see reality. There is a watching happening. There is an observing happening. Even right now as I make this video, you can tell that I'm in this state right now, this character, the words are flowing, the writing is happening, the video is being performed, all at the same time. There is a watching, an observing behind it. I'm in here in this moment with you right now. There is a pure quality of watching happening right now. It's not always easy to maintain this state, but it is possible, it is doable. But it requires practice. So in your daily life, simply practice being, staying as awareness. And what will happen is you will live less in mind trying to anticipate the next step, and you will live more in intuition. The reason why people stay stuck in a rut is because they stay stuck in the vibration or the frequency of struggle. And when they stay stuck being addicted to struggle, they manifest more struggle. The only way to take a step back from that is to shake up your reticular activating system, to shake up your patterns, right? To scramble yourself, your energy. And when you scramble your energy, you become receptive to a different lifeline, a different script. So now I want to share with you how to use intention to direct the script, to choose the script of life that you would like to see manifest. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about how intention actually works. There's 2 different types of intentions we all possess. There is what's known as outer intention and inner intention. Outer intention is the intention that both belongs to us and doesn't belong to us at the same time. Inner intention is our personal intention, aka the conscious mind. Outer intention is more the unconscious mind or the collective unconscious. Okay? So if you look at this diagram here, this is quantum physics. There are different possible parallel realities that can be manifested, or in the alternative space, there are different lifelines that we can experience. If the middle lifeline is the current lifeline you are experiencing, and let's say, you have been experiencing this lifeline, the lifeline in which you are stuck in struggle, you are stuck with a particular income, you're stuck in a particular revenue level, you've been stuck with a particular career, and every single day has felt like Groundhog Day, that you've just been stuck. You kind of see glimpses of success, but then you fall back. Well, this is the life path you've been following. What needs to happen is you need to make a shift, like the railroad tracks or the train tracks making a shift, right? And so how you do that is by using outer intention. And outer intention is responsible for making a shift in the railroad tracks, creating a potential or a possibility of you experiencing a different life path. And the next type of intention, inner intention, is responsible for movement along the life path. How fast you move along this life path is determined by your inner intention, what you're willing to do, processes that you use to speed things along. Outer intention does play a part in that, but inner intention also plays a huge part. So you need to use both types of intention. The way I could describe this is inner intention is restricted to what is within the confines of my current reality. Inner intention is kind of like manipulating matter, using your hands, using your arms, and trying to move things manually, right? It is important to do that because let's say you are wanting to become a successful business owner. You shift to the lifeline of becoming a successful business owner and solving your marketing problem, right? And so then you get an intuitive insight in this new lifeline that you must invest in a new marketing strategy to get more leads. And so you do that. You take the action to investing in that, right? So inner intention is involved. And then you provide the marketing agency what is required for your business to get more leads. Maybe you create the new VSL or video sales letter, or you create the new marketing material, right? So that is the work of inner intention in conjunction with outer intention. The goal is to unite our personal intention with that godly outer intention. But the unfortunate scenario for most people is they're not able to use outer intention because their heart and mind are not in synchrony, okay? So the left and right hemispheres of your brain are not in synchrony, meaning intellectually you know what you want, emotionally you're still stuck to that old self and what you want to avoid. Just in the case of my client who's been stuck with a particular pattern for a very, very long time, and that has eroded his confidence. It has stored itself deeper and deeper. He's collected those layers of failure more and more and more. He's become accustomed to failing and staying stuck in that. That's become familiar, right? Not having enough money has become familiar. Not making more revenue in his business has become familiar, right? So that is the vibration he is comfortable and accustomed to. And to his being, it seems that this is it. This is his lot in life, right? And a part of him has given up, but there's also this other part of you, your ideal self that you see glimpses of that you actually want to become. It's kind of crazy to say, and a lot of people get triggered when they hear this, but you're failing because you're addicted to failure, right? That's really it. If you wanted to really succeed, you would focus, despite all of the bad things that happen in your life, instead of feeling like the victim, you would focus on what is wanted and continually focus on what is wanted, what you want to move towards, despite what's happening right now and what has happened last 10 years. You wake up every single day feeling like today will be different. And no matter what has happened in the past, you still feel like today will be different. Today's a brand new day. Today's a brand new day. What's happened yesterday in the last 10 years doesn't affect what's going to happen today. Okay? But the human mind is such, it likes to predict, to keep itself safe, right? The reason you like to struggle is because struggle is safe. It's actually safe, meaning you're alive. You've struggled for the last 10 years and you're alive. Stay stuck in struggle. Don't take risks. Don't go out into the uncertain. Okay, so that is the work of inner intention, which is to cause movement along lifelines. So the key that I want you to take away from this is you have to focus on what is wanted and feel what it's like to actually be successful. And tap into that feeling more than you do tap into a feeling of failure. And so this is done. My personal best preferred way of doing this is through visualization. So visualizing. Why? Because in visualization we can concoct a picture of our goal while at the same time feeling what it feels like to achieve that goal. Right? We can feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the end state, while crafting a picture of it. So the mind and the heart are congruent now. They are synced up. That's what we want. The other thing, so you do this after you center your attention. You take a step back from the predetermined script. When you feel neutral, you do this. You don't try to escape your problem by visualizing a better future. That is like daydreaming. That is a form of resistance. So instead, you watch things unfolding and everything maybe shit hitting the fan, everything going wrong, but you still center yourself. You center yourself and you watch. There's an observing. And then you visualize. Center yourself first, then visualize. Be neutral first, then visualize. Unattached from this predetermined script first, then choose the new script you want to play in the next moment. The next thing I like to do are mental declarations of intention. So, mental declarations of intention, MDIs. These are very effective when done before a task. So I want to give you a few mental declarations of intention so you can use it for yourself. There are a couple of main types of it. So number one is the allowing frame, which is I allow myself to make an amazing video. When you do that, you move with flow. Okay, I allow myself to complete this task with ease. I allow myself to do an extraordinary job, right? The other frame is this task gets completed to its highest standard. Before I begin anything, I mentally declare this task gets completed to its highest standard. Now, this takes I out of the equation, okay? Because when you want to use outer intention, the I plays little part. Because outer intention is the focus on the goal getting achieved of its own accord, right? So I am visualizing that regardless of what I do with inner intention, the goal will get achieved. That's it. Because I'm switching to a sector of reality where that goal becomes manifest. Whether this be through my intention or someone showing up at my door giving me $1 million, or just somehow something happening and some wondrous thing happening. When Jesus Christ walked on water, I believe he was using outer intention because he didn't say, I walk on water, I'm this great being. He would probably say, I don't know how this is happening, this is God making it happen. Right? There was a great story in Yogananda's book, The Autobiography of a Yogi, and I believe this is when Yogananda or someone who's sick, someone who's blind, goes to this great sage, Lahiri Mahasaya. And he goes to Lahiri Mahasaya and he's like, I'm blind, I can't see, please heal me. I know you're a sage, you have these amazing powers, please heal me. He says, oh no, you're mistaken. I don't have any such powers, but this guy can pretty much levitate, do anything, and he's done mysterious feats. Like he can dematerialize himself and then rematerialize himself in another place instantaneously. So everyone knows that, he knows it too, right? But he's like, oh no, I can't do any of that. Like that power isn't within me. He's like, and then the guy realizes what's happening. He's like, oh, okay. Well, please, I implore the God, the higher power within you to heal my eyesight. And so then Lahiri Mahasaya says, oh, you implore the God within me? Okay, you're right. It is God doing it. Let's see what we can do. He touches him. Few hours later, guy just begins seeing again. And he's never been able to see in his whole life, right? So why I use that story is to tell you that the best way the goal gets achieved isn't through your forceful willingness. That is more the work of inner intention, which again is necessary. The best way it gets achieved is through you invoking the power of God or the universe to align everything so that there is just no choice but the goal to manifest. Like it just feels like destiny. What you're achieving, maybe things that you've achieved in the past, it felt like destiny. When you're achieving it, when you have achieved it, there was some work of outer intention involved. There was alignment of heart and mind. You didn't feel resistance, right? Think back to some of the greatest things you've experienced in your life. There was probably this state of flow and synchronicity that happened prior to it, right? You attained this state of openness, of acceptance. You kind of gave up. You didn't expect anything just had this state of flow. You put one foot in front of the other and God or the universe manifested the highest, the greatest good for you, right? So, mental declarations of intention, especially before you do a task, is really, really important. When you combine these two things, you're going to see how fast, how quickly you're able to achieve your intentions. So I made a longer video just solely focusing on how you can master your attention to make shifts within lifelines. It's done through the use of the quantum law. Okay, so I made the video on it. It is literally right here on YouTube if you want to access it. It's around 25 minutes long. So click right here and you'll be able to access the quantum law video that I show you how to center and master your attention. Otherwise, if you want access to exclusive resources, my links are in the description box below. Please leave me a comment, and if this video helped you, please share it with a friend so they can benefit as well. And if you wanted to access that quantum law video, I'm going to put it up right here, right now, and I'll see you in this next video right now. Thanks for watching.